Hey you guys, it's Bree Simulated here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today we're going ahead and doing a speed build video. We're building with the new stuff and in the new world that came with cottage living. So this house here is going to be in our cottage living LP world, but we're not necessarily going to be living here. So I designed this home to be for the parents and the older siblings of Erica Richards. So if you haven't watched the Erica Richards Creator Sim, I definitely recommend that you go ahead and check that one out. It will be linked at some point in this video. So definitely check that one out first. But if you don't know, I had a Seasons LP. That was really fun too. You could watch that as well. But I had the Seasons LP when that came out, and we had a family there, a mother, a father, and then they had 3 children, a girl, a boy, and another girl, and they also had 3 puppy dogs, I believe. I think there was only 3. Anyway, and they, in the Seasons LP, were really into gardening, because if you don't know, with the Seasons pack, there was a new, gardener career, I believe, that was added, or maybe it's in base game, but it was added at the same time. So the mother was in that career, and we kind of pretended that they owned a farm because it introduced the idea of harvestables being in or out of season. So we had a greenhouse kind of system, and we had to keep them sheltered when they were out of season. And we had the gardening, what do you call it? The table, the floral table, the floral arrangement table and all that good stuff. So they were kind of like a janky bootleg version of cottage living before we had cottage living, if you know what I mean. So I was going to go ahead and have their eldest daughter Rachel and her girlfriend go ahead and be the leaders of the cottage living LP. But unfortunately, if you don't know, my computer died. I had to replace something for it. I had my saves backed up, but the replacement failed as well. And so I lost all my saves and all of my screenshots, and I just lost everything from that hard drive. So I fortunately had some footage that I could salvage. I had already filmed some other videos, so they will still be coming out in due course. But I didn't have the original save file from the Seasons LP. Luckily, I had the Seasons family on the gallery, so I could go ahead and download them. But because they're on the gallery and the save file doesn't exist, we can't have them have their previous relationships. So their daughter Rachel just wouldn't have had her girlfriend. I would have had to have got her a new partner. And I just feel like that would have been kind of awkward. I don't know. So I just felt like rather than doing that, what we'd do is we'd go ahead and start playing fresh, have a bit of a fresh start, but still with some familiar faces sprinkled throughout. And we're going to be playing with Erica, who was only a toddler when the Seasons LP finished. So we didn't really get to know her. She's a new kind of blank slate that we can take whichever direction we like. And she's a beautiful sim. Absolutely lovely. Definitely check out that creator sim. You can get a better look and feel for her. But I designed this house for Erica's parents and older siblings to live in. That way then, they're still in Henford-on-Bagley. I don't really know what kind of story we're going to tell about how they all moved here before they were living in Newcrest on their farm. So, obviously they've moved to be more authentic farmers, but I think when they moved, they only could afford, we're going to say, a 3-bedroom home here. And Erica kind of wanted to move out. Maybe she was rebelling. Maybe she had some different ideologies than her parents. And so she's decided to go ahead and move out on her own, even though her older siblings are probably 10 or so years older than her. Rachel's definitely a lot older than her. She was a teen when she was born, when Erica was born. So, they're still living at home. They have their own bedrooms. And you will see that in this house. We've got kind of the main bedroom for the mother and father. They've got a little ensuite, and then we've got 2 bedrooms that are kind of the same, and one is for the sister, who's quite girly, prim and proper, and then we've got the male bedroom, which is still kind of chic, not necessarily masculine, you know what I mean? But that was just me trying to use, all the new stuff from the pack. So yes, my goal with this house was just to try and, play around with the new tools and play around with the new build and buy objects, just see what we got. This was my first time diving into the game and building. So I just really wanted to see what this pack had to offer, and so far I'm really, really loving it. I felt like this house had a lot of character, even though it wasn't very heavily decorated. I didn't want to go to town too much just because this is where, like, we might visit this house every now and then, but we're not going to be playing in it, so it doesn't matter if it's not, like, perfect. I just wanted it to look nice if we ever do get invited over or, go here to visit or whatever. I just wanted it to be, like, functional and whatnot for them. And so, yeah, now I thought I'd talk a little bit more about Erica and what we're going to be doing with her. This is going to kind of tie into the whole fact that I lost my saves. So if you don't know, I do have some videos pre-recorded. I mentioned this a couple of times, but I thought I'd mention it here while I have a bit more time to talk. Sorry if you hear me clicking and clunking around. I'm just looking into what I have pre-filmed because thankfully I was able to recover this footage. So I have episode 14 of Journey to Batu filmed, which I didn't realize it at the time, but it kind of does summarize it well. I'm really sad to let that LP go, but I don't even think I have those characters saved to the gallery, so they're quite gone. And also, if you don't know with Journey to Batu, it's not like where you could just like put the characters back in the world and like take off. Like, I had worked them up high and like I'd gone through the ranks of the different, Journey to Batu stuff and whatnot. So I'm sad to see that family go, but I'm sure anyone who liked that series will like the last part, and I'll kind of maybe just do a little bit of a fun ending, but I don't have any screenshots or anything, so it'll just be like text on screen kind of ending. And then I had filmed Rags to Riches Part 3. Once again, I don't think I uploaded her to the gallery, so she is just peace out, Brussels sprout, like gone. And then I filmed my current households for February, January, March, November, October. So quite a few current households there, but I don't have April, May, or June, or July, which for those 4 months I was playing with my Crow legacy. If you saw the Creator Sim video for that, I'm really sad that I lost that because I have the original sim, like Deirdre Crow, that I made for that Creator Sim, but I don't have any of the other, I don't think any of the other versions of her household, and I was like deep in the 2nd generation, so that's just gone out the window. Goodbye. So I'll be uploading these current households, but there'll be a gap from like March until July. So, I mean, that's okay. That's okay. And I've got a bunch of other footage here. I'm not quite sure. I haven't labeled it, so it could be anything. And I don't want to open it right now, or else it'll start playing. But yeah, I do have some videos pre-filmed. I do have some content that I can upload to kind of cap off those series. But I'm sorry they won't be getting, proper endings and proper slideshows. But in a weird way, I was upset about losing all this stuff and whatnot. But in a weird way, it's sometimes it's kind of nice to be forced to start fresh. I also lost all my custom content and mods. That was the other thing I was missing. It's kind of nice to be like forced to start fresh sometimes. Like, I was talking to someone today who had been working at the same place for years and years and years, and then something had happened and they're no longer going to be working there, and they had to find a new job, and now they're so excited for their new job that they're like, oh, I'm so glad everything that makes me miserable about being here is fixed by starting at this new job. And without, being made redundant by being let go by, their job no longer being the business is just like closing or whatever. They would have never left that job otherwise, but now they get such a fresh start at life and whatnot by going to this new work opportunity. And that's something they probably never would have done. They would have never made that leap on their own. So sometimes you need to be pushed to make that change. And then the change is good, So I mean, I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel like I was really, really upset, and I would have never deleted all my saves, and I would have never deleted all my custom content, never deleted any of my screenshots. But now that it's happened, I've kind of just accepted it. I'm like, oh well, that's what happened. It's meant to be, will be, you know, like, nothing I can do about it now. No point in worrying about something you can't change. So I'm just living with it. I'm just rolling with the punches. I've got some footage that I can upload to commemorate, and we can say goodbye to those households. But no, Dream Home Decorator is just rest in peace, so sorry about that. She's gone. But yeah, it's going to be a nice little fresh start, saying goodbye to all of those series that had been going on for quite a while, let's be real, some of them. So saying goodbye and starting fresh, and I'll have that footage just trickling out here, there, and everywhere until it's all dried up. And then I'm thinking about having a bit of a reboot of the channel. I know I only redid like my channel intro and banner and all that recently, so it wouldn't be anytime soon. But once all that old content is done, probably after the Cottage Living LP2, we'll start off fresh as well with the channel. I've got some cool ideas. In the time where I wasn't able to use my PC because it was completely broken, I was just having so much inspiration about stuff for the channel, so definitely keeping that all in my mind for future ideas. But yeah, so where does that bring us with Erica? Okay, so obviously I was thinking Rags to Riches is gone. I was really looking forward to that LP, but it's gone. And Journey to Batu is gone, so my most recent pack LP is done. Same with Dream Home Decorator, that's gone and done. And we're sort of just left at this point where it's like, damn, I had all those series I didn't really finish, where I wanted to, you know, explore the new packs and do some Rags to Riches stuff and whatnot. So I was just thinking, maybe we do a Cottage Living LP that is Rags to Riches. What do you think? What do you think? That's just what I was thinking. I'm not quite sure. I'm actually going to upload this build before I upload the first part of that LP, because I haven't really been inspired to play with that sim and do that LP just yet, because I wasn't quite sure what to do. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mini build for them. I'm going to build them a micro home, like the smallest tiny home for Erica. And I'm going to set a budget that I'll randomize, and I'll do a little itty bitty build video for that. Maybe I'll at least film it so I can chuck it in at the first part, at the start or the end of the first part of the LP. But I was thinking I could maybe like randomize a number between 3,000 and 10,000 simoleons, and whatever number it lands on, that's what I have to build with. And then I'll make her like a little itty bitty cottage. And I really want to do her like a Rags to Riches extreme survival kind of mode one, where she has to live off the land, like has to farm for her own goods and get her own milk and get her own eggs and all that good stuff, and like not be able to make anything with simoleons. She has to have the ingredients off the grid, all that good stuff. And maybe that's why, you know, she's left her family and she only had a small amount of money to work with, because she wanted to live this radically intense lifestyle, and her family obviously weren't for that. They were like, no, we're not doing that, like what? And so she went off into the wilderness to do it all on her own. I don't know, let me know what you think. I'm going to kind of look into that, and maybe I'll just do that build for fun, and I'll record it just in case we end up doing that for the LP. But that's my ideas with Erica so far. This is her family's home, and they're going to be living a little bit more luxurious than us, and we'll be living off in the woods in a muddy puddle somewhere probably. So we'll see how that goes. I've really been enjoying playing Cottage Living off camera. I've played with a little household, and I was just kind of getting a feel of things, trying to experiment how like a Rags to Riches kind of thing would work, how the simple living works, how the chickens and the plant growing works, like the crops and whatnot. So I've just been experimenting with that off camera, so that when I go to do it in the LP, I'm not so clueless, but I also don't want to experience it all without you guys. So you'll definitely see that current household sometime soon. And if you're interested, I do have a couple builds up on the gallery that I had made with that sim, so go ahead and check them out. My ID is Bree Simulated on the gallery, and you can always find my builds by searching hashtag Bree Simulated too. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this voice over here. Hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this build and that you're looking forward to the LP up and coming. Let me know with any ideas you have and I'll try and integrate them if they sound like a good plan. Until next time, I hope you'll have a very snazzy day and I'll see you all soon. Bye guys!